Welcome back. In this video, we are going to look at how we can implement our functions that we have. All right. So in the last video, we prepared those functions inside of our bank account. And now let's go ahead and actually take care of them. So the first thing that we need to consider is that we want, whenever we do any kind of transaction, so for example, when we deposit something, so when we deposit money or withdraw money, we want to store that transaction into the transaction history. Okay, so how would we do that? Well, first we need to make sure that we update our balance. Okay, so we have this balance, which is a double. So we need to update that property. Okay, so let me actually put that into two lines like so that we see better that we actually have those two properties. Okay, so the account holder we used before inside of our bank main, we actually accessed it. But now let's go ahead and actually change the balance here. So we're going to balance and change the amount of the balance with the amount that we pass to the deposit function. And at the same time, we need to change our transaction history. So we need to add details to our transaction history. Now we could go ahead and create an extra class that is for transactions only, so for the transaction history only. But for now, we're just going to keep it simple, and we're just gonna store that as a string. Okay, we're gonna say $account holder deposited $$ amount. So the first dollar is the actual signed dollar, and the second one is just the code, the Kotlin dollar, which makes sure that we display amount. Okay, so don't be confused about these double dollars. As you can see, we were using dollar here before. Okay, and now we're using it for the dollar amount, which is the one that we get from the deposit. All right, so that's what we have for our deposit function. So now we can deposit money. Now we can withdraw money only if we have the right balance. So only if the amount that we want to withdraw isn't higher than the amount that we have as a balance. Otherwise we would go into negative money, and that would require us to have a credit. Okay, and we're going to keep it simple, where we're just going to say, hey, if you don't have the money, you cannot withdraw. So we can check if amount is less equal balance, then we can withdraw money. So here we can withdraw because we take out less or equal as much as we have on the account. And otherwise, here we can say we cannot withdraw money. So here we can just print a statement saying you don't have the funds to withdraw amount. And you can say dollar amount. All right. But then what should happen if we can actually withdraw the money? Well, if we can withdraw the money, then we want to also do the same thing with our balance. So we're going to deduct the amount and store it back into the balance. So what this does, by the way, is it's the same thing. I showed it very briefly in another video. It's the same thing as saying balance plus amount. Okay, so this line here does the same thing as this line here. So here we're just saying balance is equal to balance minus amount. Okay, that's what this statement will do for us. So now we can, instead of saying deposited, we can say withdrew the amount. So account holder withdrew amount. And that's pretty much what our two functions, deposit and withdraw, should do. Okay, that was a little tricky. But now let's go over to our display transaction history. Now this is a function that should display all of our transactions. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a for loop again. And you might recall how we did that. We used a for loop to loop through a list. So we have this mutable list, which is called transaction history. And every single time that we did a transaction, we also stored a item inside of that transaction history. So we can go through this transaction history. So for transaction in transaction history, and we can now go ahead and say transaction. Oh, actually, we can just print the transaction like so. Now, let's also add a little statement about the details that are coming up. So we will say transaction history for account holder. So this will allow us to just let people know what this transaction history is all about. So who was the person that transacted this amount of this money, okay? So to test the program, to test whether any of this works, we need to go back to our bank mail and we need to access our Dennis's bank account. So we have this new bank account with Dennis Panuta and a little bit of money on it, right? So I do have a balance. So now instead of printing the account holder, let's go ahead and use Dennis's bank account and deposit some money. So let's deposit $200, for example. So you see, I cannot enter an int. I have to actually enter a floating point value because it is a double, right? So what we need to pass to the deposit function is a double. So I'm going to deposit $200 to my account. And now let's get the transaction history. So dot display transaction history. Now this will just say Dennis deposited Dennis $200. Okay. Now let's rerun, or let's run this code. And we see transaction history for Dennis Panuta. Dennis deposited $200. Now, the next thing that we can do is we can just add a little more transactions. All right. So let's withdraw a little bit of money. So Dennis's bank account, withdraw. And let's say I withdrew $1,200. Then let's deposit again and deposit the salary of the month, for example. Let's say it's 3K, and then deposit another bit of money just because we can. And let's withdraw a final amount of money as well. So here now we're going to withdraw $3,333.15. Okay. So how can we actually get the balance at the end? Because now if we run this, we will get all of the details. So I deposited, I withdrew, I deposited, deposited again, I withdrew. So how do I know the total amount that I still have on my account? So I would like you to try that for yourself. Pause the video real quick and see if you can get to it. All right, I hope you tried it. So we are going to just say Dennis's account dot account holder, which is the person who got the balance, is his account or balance is, and then we get the balance. So Dennis's bank account dot balance. So what this will do now is it will display the balance after the account holder. So it will just write the sentence telling us what the total is after all of these depositing and withdrawing money. So you can see I deposited, I withdrew, I deposited, withdrew, withdrew, and then I have this balance of 2,500 and 0.49997 cents. So what is going on here? Well, this is just an error inside of any given programming language. All right, so the reason is that floating point arithmetic is imprecise because it leverages formulaic representation of real numbers as an approximation to support a trade-off between range and precision. Okay, that's really the thing, because it just doesn't know how to properly, like represent full numbers or even decimal points sometimes, which is why it creates this weird situation where we have like a bunch of points after. All right, and that's it for our little application. So I have a little exercise for you coming up, but that's pretty much what we have built. So we have our first little application that we built with classes in mind, with loops in mind, and with lists. So we used all the concepts that we learned so far. We used variables, we used loops, we used, well, we didn't use if statements. Actually, we even used if statements here. So all of the concepts that we learned so far came together in this little project. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I'd say good luck and all the best with the exercise that comes up, and do it until you actually finished it. All right. So I'll see you in the next video.